Hello and welcome to another educational video about screen printing by Catspit Productions. Thanks a lot for clicking on my video today. I appreciate your time and attention. And of course, if you like my videos, please make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you need screen printing equipment or supplies, check out CatspitScreenPrintSupply.com. Okay, so today we're going to talk about what are the minimal requirements, the minimal items you need to screen print with a decent result, okay? And you could probably screen print with a lot less than what I'm showing you today, but the idea is that these are the minimal items that will give you the best results, the easiest time, nice professional prints, no hassles. This is the easiest, best way to go with the minimal requirements that I believe are going to help you screen print better. So the link for the expanded version of this list we're going over to today is on the home page of the e-commerce site right there. You can see it. Okay, it's right, above where the products will start on the home page of CatspitScreenPrintSupply.com. Okay, so the first thing on your list is going to be a screen printing press. All right, and I suggest an actual press rather than like hinge clamps because it's easier to load the shirt on the pallet, and it makes it a lot easier to print the shirts on some kind of a press that has a pallet where you can load the shirt, or what some people might say, split the shirt on the pallet. You're loading the shirt on the pallet, so the pallet goes inside the body of the shirt, makes it easy to print. All right, so what you have to consider is how many colors do you want to print. You obviously don't necessarily need to start with a big floor press like this. This is a 6-color, 6-station rotary press. Okay, but what you have to keep in mind is for every color you want to print, you need a print head. Okay, so each one of these will print one color. So for the most flexibility, you might want a 4-color 1-station. So we have floor presses, and then we also have benchtop equipment. So when you're starting out, you might start with a smaller benchtop or tabletop press. Like for instance, we have the P405. It's a benchtop 4-color 1-station screen printing press. Okay, and it's just going to make it a lot easier. If you want that versatility of how many colors, 4 different colors to be able to print, you would be able to do 3 colors on black because one of those would be a white underbase most likely. Okay, stuff like that. So when you're deciding what press to buy, the first thing you have to consider is what kind of flexibility in printing do you want, or how many colors are you going to want to print. Okay, then secondly, would be what's better for us, a floor press or a bench press. Obviously, if I can say that as many times in this clip as possible, when you're starting out minimalistically, if that's a word, in a minimalist way, then you would probably have a 1-color 1-station benchtop or tabletop press, and that's something you can start with, pretty inexpensively. All right, so the next thing on your list is actually a flash cure. Okay, this one over here is actually an air flash. Flash cures are used on press to do multicolor jobs. So when we're printing a multicolor job and we want to dry the ink to the touch between prints, we put the flash cure over one of the pallets on the press. So an air flash is for water-based inks, and then over here we actually have an infrared flash. This one would be for plastisol inks, and you can use the flash cure for flashing multicolors on press, and you can also use it for your final cure. If you're trying to be minimalistic, this is going to cure the shirt and make it wash safe as well. So, yes, the next item on your list would probably be an exposure unit. Okay, so this is a nice fancy schmancy exposure unit, and this is an LED, vacuum top. This is what we use to expose the screen because it's a photographic process. So we need a light source, particularly UV light. Okay, so there are different types of light sources you can use when you're starting up. Obviously, you can get a nice unit like this, of course, but you can start with something smaller. We make a black lamp fluorescent industrial tabletop exposure unit, which is a little box, and it sits on a tabletop. It will expose screens just like this, but it's a lot smaller, it takes up less space, and it's, of course, much less expensive. So the exposure unit is used to expose the screen using light, and we expose a light-sensitive emulsion that's on the screen, and we create the stencil that way. Okay, so that leads us on to some more items that we're going to need, which will all start to bring us into chemicals and things that we use to actually make the screen and print the shirts. All right, so we got the basic equipment out of the way. Like if you're just starting, you got the press, you got the flash cure, and we have an exposure unit. So those three core items would be great to start with, you know, and like I said, it doesn't have to be the most commercial professional unit. It can be a smaller startup or beginner type equipment, which I have plenty of at screenprintsupply.com. Okay, so you're also going to need a computer. Hopefully not as antiquated as this little guy, but you will need a computer with vector software. So in screen printing, we use vector art. That is created with Adobe Illustrator or Corel Draw. Some people do use Photoshop, but that's really for photography. So you're going to need a computer, Adobe Illustrator or Corel Draw, and then you're going to need an inkjet printer so you can print the inkjet film that you're going to need to make the screens. Okay, so we're going to talk about inkjet film in a second. Computer, inkjet printer, vector software like Corel Draw or Adobe Illustrator. You are definitely going to need a pressure washer. Pressure washer. Very important. Okay, in screen making and reclaiming and everything, the pressure washer is critical. And you will also need cold running tap water on a garden hose with like a little spray nozzle. Okay, this is what you're going to use to wash the stencil out, and try not to spray water around the shop like I almost did there. But the garden hose with cold tap water you're going to use to wash the stencil out after you expose it on the exposure table or the exposure unit. The pressure washer is actually used, you have to turn it on, and then it's loud. But the pressure washer itself is used for stripping the screen of emulsion, dehazing and mesh prepping and all the screen making chores where the force of the water is needed to help complete the job along with the chemicals. Okay, so yes, it's imperative that you have a pressure washer for screen making and reclaiming, and cold tap water on a garden hose with a spray nozzle for washing out the stencil. Okay, so the next items you're going to need would be a squeegee. Okay, this is used to print with the screen. You're going to need a scoop coater. Okay, the scoop coater. And you're going to need screens. Okay, the scoop coater is used to apply the emulsion to the screen so that it looks like, you know, something like this, if I could grab it. All right, and then we take this, the emulsion is on the screen, and we take it over to the exposure unit over here, and then we're going to expose the screen with our film positive to create the stencil, which we can use to print on the press with the squeegee. Okay, so the next few items that you're going to need would be considered consumables, meaning that they're consumed with every print job, and that would be inkjet film to print your film positives to make the screen. You're going to need some ink, whether it be plastisol or water-based. You would probably need some kind of ink solvent. So this is for plastisol ink. This cleans up the plastisol ink from your screen and from the squeegee and stuff. Then you would need some emulsion, right? Emulsion is the stuff that goes in the scoop coater to be coated onto the screen so we have a photographic stencil. So that's the emulsion. Then of course, you will need emulsion remover. This is used to strip the emulsion off of the screen when we want to reuse it. And we will also need some spray tack. Spray tack is used on the palette actually the pallet that all this stuff is sitting on right now. And it's an adhesive that we spray on the pallet so that the shirt stays put while we're printing it. So these are just a few of the basic chemicals or consumables that you would need to screen print t-shirts. And of course there are more than this that could possibly be useful. Alright, so now obviously you're going to need stuff like t-shirts. You're going to need possibly a heat gun, maybe an infrared temperature gun. Of course you're going to need some rags. You're going to probably need some spray bottles like these guys, chemical resistant spray bottles, scrubby pads, okay, that's for screen making, probably some masking tape, maybe some markers, Sharpies, going to need some Scotch tape, I'm sure, and probably a ruler, okay, among other minor little supplies or accoutrements that will make your life easier, complete, or better. Alright, so one last note. Here's the list that I used today to create this abridged, abbreviated version of the minimal requirements that you need to screen print. And also, here's a couple of ink scoops, which you would probably need also, and I almost forgot to mention. Ink scoops are important, of course, because you're going to be dealing with a lot of ink. So that's it. I hope you found this video to be educational, informative, and worth your time. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, of course, or you can contact me through YouTube or one of my websites. And of course, also check out the expanded version of the list we went over today. The link is on the homepage of the e-commerce site like I showed you earlier in the video today. That's all I have for you today. Make sure you check out catspitscreenprintsupply.com if you need screen printing equipment and supplies. And of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel today to keep these free videos coming right at you. Thanks again for watching, and of course, we'll see you next time.